everyone, and greetings from the SDG studio here at the UN headquarters in New York. Welcome to this global policy dialogue, accelerating innovation and data management for sustainable forests. This is hosted by the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, also known as UN DESA. My name is Angelica Malin, and I'll be your moderator today. Today, our focus is on forests, which are represented in Sustainable Developmental Goal 15, Life on Land. But forests also support other SDGs, like how mangroves protect coastlines from climate change, and trees help provide clean air essential for our health. Forests obviously are essential. We need more investment in them and more good ideas about how to manage them sustainably. It's very timely to be talking about forests, as this month we celebrate the International Day of Forests. This year's Forest Day theme is Forests and Innovation, New Solutions for a Better World. And we'll be highlighting some innovations here today. Before we dive into today's discussion, here's some quick housekeeping. Multilingual captions are available in Zoom. Just click on the captioning icon at the bottom of your screens. Please do help spread the word on what you hear today on social media using the hashtag #GlobalGoals. And feel free to join in the discussion by sending us your questions and voting up other people's questions via our interactive Slido tool. We'll also have some audience polls for you. Just go to slido.com/globalgoals, or go to slido.com and insert the hashtag #GlobalGoals. Now let's kick off with a quick poll for you, our audience. To help us get to know you a little better, please share where you're joining us from today. So the options are Africa, Asia Pacific, Europe, Latin America and the Caribbean, North America, Western Asia, or other. I'll give you a minute to vote and get familiar with Slido. Again, just go to slido.com and use the hashtag #GlobalGoals to vote. Meanwhile, let's watch a short video from the UN Forum on Forest Secretariat, giving us an overview of the global forest goals.
Our world is breathing. % of our Earth's land is covered by forests, providing 1.6 billion people with wood, food, fuel, livelihood, employment, and income. And all of us with clean air. But our forests continue to be under threat from unsustainable practices, from impacts of climate change, from rapid urbanization and population growth. Building on the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the international community has agreed on the first UN Strategic Plan for Forests to take concerted action for the world's forests. The plan includes an ambitious target to increase forest area by 3% worldwide by 2030. At the heart of the plan are 6 global goals for our forests. Reverse the loss of forest cover and forest degradation worldwide. Enhance forest-based economic, social, and environmental benefits, improving the livelihoods of forest-dependent people. Significantly increase the area of protected forests worldwide. Raise funds for sustainable forest management and strengthen scientific and technical cooperation and partnerships. Promote governance frameworks for sustainable forest management, and improve cooperation, coordination, and synergies on issues related to forests at all levels. The international community is committed to seeing the world's forests thrive, because where forests are sustainably managed, they contribute to making the lives of all living things better. And by sowing the seeds of these new forest goals, we will ensure that the lungs of our Earth will continue to stay healthy for present and future generations. Our world is breathing.
So as we just saw, the global forest goals are ambitious and meant to complement the Sustainable Development Goals in our efforts to protect and manage our precious forest resources. But let's shift gears and take a look now at the results of our first poll. So most of you joining us from North America, but we have guests from all over the world joining this webinar today. So now that we've warmed up with Slido, here's a more challenging question for you. Where do you think the next big innovations in forestry lie? Artificial intelligence, bioengineering, drone monitoring, public-private partnerships, or something else? Once again, just go to slido.com and use the hashtag #GlobalGoals to vote. And while you're voting, let me introduce our first three guests who are joining for our conversation on scaling up innovations for sustainable forest management. With me here in the studio is Juliette Bial, the director of the UN Forum on Forest Secretariat. Thank you for joining me. And joining virtually are two excellent speakers here to share with us their work on the ground. We have Yamile Sanchez-Havez, technical specialist, US Forest Service International Programs in Peru, and Ryan Vinhal, a supervisory research plant geneticist with the USDA Forest in Wisconsin, USA. Thank you both for joining us. Before we dive into our conversation, let's look quickly together at the results of our second audience poll. So bioengineering coming in top there with our audience on that poll. So let's move on to our forest innovations with Juliette, Yamile, and Ryan. Thank you all for joining me again. Juliette, starting with you, could you please set the scene for us, broadly speaking, on the state of the world's forests and kind of which areas forest management innovations you think are most needed?
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me. Forests are one of the Earth's most valuable ecosystem, covering 31% of the land area. They give us, as we saw in the video, clean air, fresh water, and productive soils, while at the same time providing safety net for the communities living in extreme poverty. Forests and trees are nature-based solution for combating climate change. They influence rain patterns, cool urban areas, and absorb some of 1/3 of annual greenhouse gas emission. Despite all our best efforts, deforestation and forest degradation are still taking place in an alarming rate of 10 million hectares per year. And climate change is exacerbating the situation. We need decisive action to halt deforestation, restore forest ecosystem, and build green value chains for sustainably managed forests. The UN Strategic Plan for Forests 2017 and 2030 has an ambition, a vision of a world where forests and trees will be sustainable managed by 2030. This is a very ambitious vision. But to achieve this vision, we don't have any choice. Business as usual is no longer an option. We need innovation. And the key area where we need innovation is deforestation, is halting deforestation. Halting deforestation can avoid emission of approximately 3.6 gigaton carbon dioxide equivalent. And that also will help also to keep the global warming below 1.5. So I think one thing that we need to do first is to better manage the forests that we have. Second, restore the degraded land, and then increase forest cover. And that is why the UNFF member state set forth in the UN Strategic Plan for Forests the first goal, which is to restore, I think it is to reverse the loss of forest cover. And the target 1.1 aim beyond to also aim at increasing the forest cover by 3% by 2030. All this will not be possible without innovation. We need innovation in all its forms, from science and technology and finance. So I think this talk today is very important for us to have more innovative, to think out of the box, to think in an innovative way when it's come to science and technology, but also to think in an innovative way when it's come to raising awareness that the world forests cannot continue to sustain us if we don't take care of them now.
Thank you so much for sharing those insights, and you can really hear your love and your passion for the forest shining through there. So let's talk a little bit about these innovations and these positive innovations that we can make. Yamile, can you tell me a little bit about what you're working on in Peru?
Thank you for inviting me today. Yeah, I am working in Peru. I provide support and technical assistance to local NGOs that work with urban forests. From my experience, I would like to introduce Bosquea.p, a digital platform to connect and involve diverse actors in a network that promotes urban forests throughout Peru to create healthier, sustainable, and resilient cities. Bosquea.p was created last year thanks to a project called Pulmoncitos Verdes, that is microforest, for healthy cities, implemented by the local NGO called Ciudad Viva, that worked together with U.S. Forest Service and in a partnership with the National Forestry and Wildlife Service, the Minister of Peru, create this platform. This innovative platform promotes the sustainable urban forest management in cities of Peru through the visualization of success stories of urban forests and microforests at the national level in an interactive map. Bring together different stakeholders and leaders of urban forestry projects throughout the country. It strengthens capacities in the management of urban forests through webinars, guides, courses, and other learning resources available free for use by the urban forestry learning community that was created by Ciudad Viva and CERFOR, that is Forest Service here in Peru. And this community learning were more than 500 people, including community leaders, students, professionals, and officials, are connected and have the platform Bosquea.p to meet and exchange their experience, share information, create synergies, and scale urban forest initiatives. I think and I believe that Bosquea.p is a key tool to involve many actors and strengthening the capacities in urban forest management at the national level. For this reason, it's important work together with national and local governmental organizations to promote this platform as a national platform to promote sustainable urban forest management in Peru.
Fantastic. Sounds like some really great projects there. Thank you. And Ryan, can you tell me a little bit about what you're working on?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you, first of all, for having me. It's a great honor to be able to speak today. And as was mentioned before, there are a lot of different stressors on our forest ecosystems. A lot of it's due to the population growth. There's also urbanization and climate change as well. And so a lot of what my research focuses on and what I'll be talking about is more of pollution and pollution that we create and sort of the ways that we can go about remediating and help clean up those types of contamination. And so trees can not only be used in forest systems and all their ecosystem services and benefits, but they can also be used to solve environmental issues that we have and solve our pollution problems that we have. And so through the use of phytotechnologies, which is the use of trees for solving environmental problems, trees can be used across a wide range of different applications in both a rural and an urban context. And so trees can be used to clean up things such as urban areas where brownfields, there could be brownfields that are contaminated. There's landfills, there's mining reclamation, a lot of different examples across both the rural and urban contexts. And so what my research and other colleagues at the USDA Forest Service that I work for, what we're focusing on is phytoremediation. So the use of trees to clean both the air or the water and the soil. And so trees can be used to clean up contaminants in different ways. And our research is focusing on the different applications that trees can be used to clean up contamination. And it's extremely important to find these innovations and find ways to use trees to solve our problems. And what we like to think about is trees for pollution solutions is what we call them, and finding ways and studying trees and studying how they uptake contaminants and using these trees and to help solve our problems, as well as to green the area as well by helping to plant trees as well. So yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Brilliant. Sounds like some really fascinating and important work. Thank you for sharing more about it. Julia, is there a project that you would like to highlight that you've been working on?
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to say that in recent decades, we have seen how innovative use of science and technology has made it possible for countries to use remote sensing, drone technology, and artificial intelligence to support their efforts to manage forests in a sustainable way, from mapping and monitoring changes in forests, from tree planting, from measuring carbon, and also for early wildfire detecting. Innovation can really help us to when we are in what I would say in an emergency situation, and it will also help to build the resilience to climate change. For our part, at the UN Forum on Forests, we are working on promoting innovation through influential leadership in a way that calls for change to foster collaboration and strategic partnership. We also working, I made it a priority to strengthen our engagement with the scientific community, because we need, to foster innovation, we need really a science-based decision-making. So working with scientific community is something that the UNFF Secretariat is kind of doing from our partner at International Union of Forest Research Organization, IUFRO, to premier university like Yale University and its School of Forest within the environmental school. We are exploring some joint initiative and promoting dialogue also with both with schools and also with the private companies. I think what we need to be cognizant of also is, yes, innovation is important, but we need to be cognizant that they need to be adapted to the local, to the national and local context, because new technology is not affordable everywhere. We live in an era of digital divide, where 1 in 3 people do not have access to internet, and the lack of the lack to affordable infrastructure and inadequate technology, especially artificial intelligence, is really a serious problem. So again, when we talk about science, let us not forget about traditional and indigenous knowledge that we need also to think of when it comes to complement the science. It is very important. And I will finish by saying that innovation doesn't necessarily mean new thing. Because when we have new approaches, new technology, we jump on it while we still have not explored all the opportunities that we have. Thinking out of the box requires that we explore all the opportunities that we have before jumping into new things.
Yeah, and that link between technology, that's so relevant. Thank you for sharing that. So we've heard about some really great projects. I'm wondering what it would take to scale these up. How do you think that we should proceed? Ryan, perhaps starting with you on that question.
Yeah, it's a great question. And so one of the things that I want to highlight is what we call fighter recurrent selection. So back in 2003, a colleague of mine at the USDA Forest Service, his name is Ron Zalesny, and others at the USDA Forest Service created what I had mentioned, fighter recurrent selection. So this is a tool that we've really utilized in our fighter remediation work that has helped us select the different tree varieties that we can grow at plantings to help clean up contamination. And so what we do in this this tool is we take soils from our site that we want to go and plant trees into. We take the soil, bring it back to the greenhouse itself, grow our different tree varieties in the soil, and see if they how well they grow and how much how well that they're performing, so that after a bunch of different successive selection cycles in the greenhouse, we can grow out the best tree varieties for outplanting into the field. And so this is really a tool for us to help match the contaminant to the tree variety, to help maximize our potential to help clean up the contamination itself. And so with this fighter recurrent selection tool, we've implemented in a bunch of different applications, anywhere from landfills to mine reclamation, and a bunch of other different applications. But one way to help us scale this up is, first of all, we submitted to the UN Decade Task Force on Best Practices, which is part of the Decade of Ecosystem Restoration. This tool has been recognized as a good practice by the UN, which is awesome for us. But in addition to that, and helping get out this innovation, this tool to others that might use it and be helpful for cleaning up contamination in various areas, is we host an annual fighter remediation training academy. So we work with the international programs. Liza Bakeo at the international programs of the USDA Forest Service has helped us create, along with me, Ron Zalesny, and Liz Rogers, also at the USDA Forest, have come up with this fighter remediation training academy, where we actually bring in people from around the world and teach them about fighter remediation, fighter technologies, how trees can be used for helping with contamination problems, and then also teaching them things such as fighter recurrent selection. And so this summer/fall, we're adding on to our program and actually going to be teaching hands-on fighter recurrent selection in greenhouse studies, and hoping to scale this up and helping to reach a broad audience and teach people about fighter remediation, and so that fighter remediation and the use of trees to clean up contamination can be spread across the world, and help to clean up and solve this problem of pollution that we have across the world.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That training academy sounds like a wonderful endeavour. Juliet, coming to you on that question of scaling up, what do you think needs to happen? How should we proceed?
First of all, I would like to say that the need to scale up our initiative in restoring degraded land, in halting desertification, this need that calls for innovation. For example, there is no way we can monitor significant areas that have trees without having new technology. Nobody can do that if we don't promote new technology. But again, to scale up innovative solutions, we need science. We need a combination of science, formal science. We need also local and indigenous knowledge. We need innovative financing. But the first thing we need is innovative thinking out of the box. Thinking and being really cognizant that we cannot continue to use forests as we use them today if we want in the future to sustain us. That has to be clear in our mind. And that will inform the way we raise awareness on the importance of the word forest. Raising awareness on the importance of forests as a climate solution is also important. So yes, I agree with my colleague about the need also to train. But we have clearly communicated the urgent need to reverse the loss of forest cover, the urgent need to restore our degraded forest landscape, and also the need to increase the forest cover areas.
Yes, and innovative thinking, that's such an important thing to remember. Thank you for sharing that. Yamile, coming to you on that question of scaling up.
Okay, we believe that Bosquea.p, this platform, is very important to develop and improve the technical capacity for the community, all the community, and involve more actors in the management of urban forests. So some action to scale up the platform is develop a massive dissemination, plan to publicize the platform, register more users interested in urban forest management at local and national level, and also register new urban forests or microforests on the interactive map, and community leaders share their experience and activities on the platform. Also, continuous update information on activities or events on urban forests and share new learning resources such as technical manual, research, course, webinars, or urban forest management to encourage the use and the interaction between users of the platform. And include no function that allow design, care, and monitor urban microforests by community leaders, youth, and any interested person in a very simple and fast way. Also include new functions that allow individuals and companies to finance planting of trees in the urban forest or microforest registered in the platforms.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you to our audience, to our panelists for answering these questions so wonderfully. We're going to move now to some audience questions. So the first question from our audience is, how can women and local communities be better empowered on forests? That's from Faith in Kenya has asked that question. Juliet, perhaps that's something that you could answer.
I would like to say that women are already involved in forests, you know. But the question, the challenge is that they are not visible. And when I say that, I mean what I say as the first female forester in West Africa. I know what it is, how women are all involved in fetching water, fetching firewood, but when it's come to benefit from the, from forests, they suffer. But the best way to start doing it is in all our projects. From the inception phase, it's important also to make sure that we mainstream gender in whichever project we undertake on forest issues. And we know that there are some studies that really reveal that women are more caring about environment. It is not me saying it, there are studies that have revealed it. So when they are really empowered, really they can really do a good job. So getting them empowered, I think that it should be something that is a requirement from every donor that really who is willing to provide funding for forest management, so that from the outset it is clear that women are involved. But at the same time, based on my experience, we don't want to empower women or involving them in forest management for the sake of it. We need to involve them in a way that we don't create another burden for them. So it requires that we really analyze the division of labor, what women can do, what women cannot do, when they can do it, when they cannot do it, so that we don't create additional burden for them. It is very important. So it requires a kind of analysis before we involve them in the project. I'm not in I cannot agree about really involving women in everything just because we want to promote gender. No, gender is not about really involving women in everything that men are doing. It's about really being cognizant of the division of labor and and support women in what can benefit for them.
Thank you for that answer. Another question from the audience is, what is the best strategy for developing countries to participate in innovation and utilize technology amid high costs? That comes from Mbab Pira in Malawi. Perhaps, Juliet, can you answer that as well? Perhaps Yamile, you'd like to dig into that one as well?
I think it's important to use different tools or information that exist in the internet, and also adapt maybe some tools that free, the use is free, is important use, and also synergies with different actors, with local government, national government, to exchange different information, and also socialize this information is very important. Involve public and also private sector. It's important to develop innovative solutions to create, in the case of Lima, in the case of Bosquea, to create new microforests and also to improve existing microforests. So I think it's important also involve the community and improve capacities. I think this is the way that we work to low cost and develop a lot of activity and search synergies of different actors.
Juliet, is there anything you'd like to add on that?
Yeah, thank you so much. So there are two things I would like to highlight here. First of all, as I said in my statement or remarks, innovation is first about thinking out of the box. I can be from a developing country. If I have innovative way of thinking, I can participate to innovative solutions. We saw you mentioned the International Day of Forest. We saw some, there are countries that shared best practices in using just cell phones, just to fight against illegal logging. It doesn't take a lot sometimes. But something that need also to change in developing countries, whenever you discuss anything, we hear that, oh, we don't have internet. Come on, we are in 21st century. There is no way you can promote innovation if the issue of energy, electricity is not solved in developing countries. As I mentioned, we need really adequate infrastructures. We need affordable infrastructure, and we need adequate legal framework. If we don't solve that, forget about innovation. So I don't think that we should be always repeating that there is no access to internet, but let us just do what it takes to have access to internet. Let's really develop this legal framework that can help us to promote innovation. Otherwise, we are not going anywhere. But start thinking in an innovative way.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Well, thank you so much to Juliet, Yamilia, and Ryan for joining me. We really appreciate your time, and good luck with all of your amazing work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. We now have another audience poll for you. This time it's a trivia question, and if you're listening carefully to Juliet before, you may have a little clue to the answer, which is how much of the world's land do forests cover? Is it 15%, 26%, 31%, or 44%? Again, please just go to slido.com and use the hashtag #GlobalGoals to vote. And while you're voting, here's a video from the UN Food and Agriculture Organization, also known as FAO, about new frontiers in forestry innovations.
Forests are one of the planet's greatest resources, but climate change and human impact pose growing threats. Thanks to cutting-edge advances in technology, new tools are making it possible to address these challenges. One of the front lines for forest innovation is here in Papua New Guinea, which is home to the world's third largest rainforest and 7% of global biodiversity. In this Pacific island nation, 97% of the land is under customary ownership. This means it belongs to the people. Papua New Guinea's indigenous peoples are now using advanced technology to monitor their forests.
We are in the midst of a forest data revolution, and the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations is at the forefront of this. Here in Papua New Guinea, we are supporting the government and local communities to collect new data to boost their efforts to protect, restore and sustainably used forests.
Elsewhere, remote sensing and monitoring is also helping to fight fires, one of the main threats to forests, by creating early warning systems and reducing fire risk. But innovation is not just changing the way we monitor forests. Innovation is also pushing the boundaries of what we can do with wood and forest products.
By 2030, we will have to house an additional 3 billion people. But the construction sector alone is responsible for approximately 37% of energy and process-related greenhouse gas emissions. We do need to try and find a better way to build housing, and this is where mass timber comes into play. It reduces the carbon footprint of buildings and it stores carbon for its lifetime. And this can make wood-based construction almost an extension of our forests.
And the list of new applications is constantly growing, from packaging to cosmetics. State-of-the-art wood-based products are also being used in medicine. For example, in casts, biodegradable medical equipment, and even antimicrobial creams. And they are also starting to increase sustainability in the clothing and fashion industry, with around 60% of all textiles currently estimated to be plastic-based.
People really want to know what their clothes are made of and choose better, more responsible options. I think using wood-based materials could be a game changer. I can see so many possibilities that these kind of materials can bring to the fashion industry. And it's super exciting to be part of it.
From new ways to monitor and protect our forests to breakthroughs paving the way for greater sustainability, forest innovations are set to play a key role in tackling global challenges for our planet.
So exciting to hear all about these new innovations in forestry. I know for lots of us, choosing sustainable fabrics and quality materials is really a priority for the year ahead. Okay, let's see how our audience fared with our trivia question. The answer was 31% C. So most of you getting that right. So wow, we have 31% of the surface of the planet covered by forests. How are we going to monitor this? Fortunately, we're joined by 3 experts here today who can help us answer this question. Joining us now in person is Minoru Takada, the Deputy Director of the UN Forum on Forest Secretariat. And joining us virtually, we have Julian Fox, Team Leader for the Forest Monitoring and Data Platforms at FAO in Rome, and Laura Toru, recently of the Yale University Applied Science Synthesis Program, and now with the Missouri Botanical Gardens. Thank you both for joining me. So, Minoru, starting with you, how is the health of the world's forest being measured right now?
So I think we have heard already about global forest goals. So there are 6 goals and 23 targets. So globally, we use this as a framework to measure the health of the forest. So last time, 2021, this sort of global forest goals report was created, and we are in the course of making the next one. Essentially 3 things here. One, we need to understand status of forests, such as forest coverage, density, type of forest, and why it is what it is. Whether it is increasing, decreasing, degrading, or improving, all those things there. So that's one side of measuring of the forest. Second, forests provide a lot of services, deliverables, products for us, for our human community. So we need to understand what are the services that we are actually getting from forests, whether it is about water or other economic activities, or more like a direct income generation opportunities and those things. All those sort of services that we're getting, benefiting from forests. That's another thing that we need to measure. And thirdly, in response to all those status and situation, we need to understand what we are actually doing to take action on those things. So for example, what policies we have, what investment we're having, what kind of international cooperation we are actually promoting around forests. So that's why, we at the United Nations, through United Forum on Forests, which is sort of most inclusive, the UN Forum talk about forests, we are collecting information thanks to FAO and a colleague, but also we are also, giving a guidance to the world as to how we need to continue to measure and improve measurement of forests.
Thank you for tying that into the larger SDG goals there. Julian, FAO does a lot of monitoring of the forests. Is there anything that you'd like to add?
Yes, thank you for inviting FAO to the panel. So as you may know, FAO has been assessing forests since 1948, in fact, and doing it periodically every 5 years. And the next Global Forest Resources Assessment, which we refer to as the FRA, will be published in the last quarter of 2025, FRA 2025. So what we have noted through the course of monitoring the world's forests is quite a revolution in the quality of the forest data in countries. It's really been, on International Day of Forests, we launched a new publication, and the title was Technological Innovation, Driving Transparent Forest Monitoring and Reporting for Climate Action. And I hope the link can be shared, but it shows a real data revolution in the last 10 years, driven by country capability to use remote sensing and field inventory and report very high quality data to international processes such as the Climate Convention, the UNFCCC. And as we saw in the video, which you displayed, as well as this revolution, I think, in the capabilities of national governments to do forest monitoring, we're also trying to link that to Indigenous peoples who are the custodians of the forest. And if we can strengthen their role in being custodians of the forests, then that helps, I think, protect the forest or restore the forest or whatever those custodians would like to do. So yeah, I mean, very briefly, as FAO, we've 10 years ago, we started working on open source technical solutions, and it's been a bit of a game changer in allowing countries to freely create really high quality forest data, access climate finance, and also report high quality data to international reporting mechanisms such as the FRA. And in parallel to that, we are using sort of innovative capacity development. So we're trying to use e-learning, sort of standalone e-learning approaches so that anybody can build their capacity to monitor forests. I think that's really critical, not only in the forest departments and the ministries that have responsibility at the national level, but Indigenous peoples, women, youth. We want to build capacity for forest monitoring in all stakeholders involved in forests. So yeah, back to you, but I think in summary, over the last 10 years, we've seen a real dramatic shift in the capability of people to do forest monitoring, and we see this coming through in the report into different global mechanisms. Thank you.
Thank you. Sounds like some really great work that you're doing there. Laura, you're a tropical plant expert. Are there special considerations for monitoring tropical plants?
I think something that is really important is to empower countries that are hotspots of biodiversity, but maybe don't have the resources to monitor their forests as some other countries have been doing it. So like translating and transmitting like all these knowledge and technologies to these countries that actually like we need their information to understand how our forests are, because it's not just like one country or like a few countries. It's like we need these hotspots of biodiversity. We need to understand what's going on there.
Thank you so much. Now, I'm curious, where are the limitations or the gaps in this data? Julian, perhaps starting with you on that one.
I think we still need to pay more attention to build capacity in different stakeholders involved in forests. So we've seen this quite transformation, I would say, in country capabilities at the national level to monitor and report on their forests. But we need to scale up, I think, and make sure all these innovations which the countries are using are delivered to the different forest stakeholders, the youth, the women, the Indigenous peoples as the custodians of much of the world's forests. So I think that needs further attention. And we also need to make sure that forest countries, particularly developing forest countries, have forest monitoring that is institutionalized into their government. So only then can they really link the forest monitoring to their forest policy and their forest management. And that is where the real action happens. That's where we have impact, whether it's protection, restoration, or sustainable management. So as much as possible, we need to advocate that national governments allocate national budgets for forest monitoring. So it's truly institutionalized, and we see that true impact in the government decision-making processes in forest countries.
Thank you. And Laura, coming to you on that question.
Could you repeat that again?
Of course. Where are the limitations and the gaps in this data?
I think like, at least in the tropics, we're still like discovering new species. So that's one of our limitations. So we know we have like a lot of diversity in these forests. So we still need to know what species are out there. Also like in the tropics, it's really hard to predict where fires are happening or like storms are happening. So like trying to know like when they're gonna happen, what would be the impacts. And also non-native species, that's a big thing that we are still missing, and how these non-native species are impacting our native forest.
Manora, do you have anything that you could add on that in the data point?
So essentially, I think for forests to be really sort of up in the game, right? You know, we want really sort of the political and stakeholder action in the forest to protect and use forests and sustainably and those things. So we really need to understand what we are getting from forests and what we are losing by losing forests. So we need a political commitment to ensuring that we value what we count, what counts, and measure what we value. So this is essentially sort of one of the sort of priority actions leading into the UN's Summit of the Future in September when GA holds that one. And I think this cannot be more true for the forest sector. But also, in addition, we have a sort of message to the scientific and technical community to say that we also need to clean up a little bit in terms of statistics, in terms of indicator, in terms of sort of, those technical issues surrounding data so that we be able to give more sort of holistic guidance to the member states and other stakeholders as we ask them to try to get more data and do seriously more monitoring.
And what measures can we implement now that will help improve our understanding of the forest well-being? Laura, perhaps starting with you on that question.
I think something that we sometimes forget is like forests are not just trees or plants. Like forests are like this like diverse system, and soils in those forests can tell us a lot about the health of the forest. So understanding what's happening with these soils, what organisms are growing there, that will tell us a lot about the well-being of the forest. And of course, like using like all these amazing technologies like drones and remote sensing, but a finer scale will tell us a lot about how these forests are going to like behave under all these like climate change events that we cannot predict pretty well, but we right now have enough information to like have a sense of like how they will behave. Thanks.
Minoru?
I think one is a partnership. Here, I think everybody sort of talked about the new exciting innovation, new technologies happening, and I think Julian mentioned about the last 10 years, we start seeing a really different type of reporting coming back from all over the world. This is fundamentally important, but the international community support developing countries in particular to make sure that innovative measures, innovative technologies are going to be made available to everybody. So we'll be able to sort of, spread the benefits of the new technologies. Second, we really need to sort of, investment, a little more going into the data and science. So the community will be supported in terms of, doing appropriate monitoring, appropriate sort of data gathering. This is really essential to inform course of actions that is taken by the government and as well as the stakeholders. And lastly, we really need also to make sure that we ask all countries to come with their reporting on where they stand against their set goals related to the global forest goals. So Julian mentioned about FRA, and then I think it's important also that UN Forum on Forest will be asking all governments to come with their reporting against how much they're making a progress toward 2025, 2026. So we'll be able to compile the next set of the Global Forest Report goals in 2026 framework. So really looking forward to their commitment, their political commitment to be able to do that, because forest really is at the center of many discussions, whether it is biodiversity, whether it is climate action, whether it is achievement of SDGs. We really need to be at the center. For that, we really need everybody's commitment to make sure we be at the leadership position in to be able to do so.
Some really important points there. Thank you. Julian, do you have anything to add on that question about measures that we can implement now?
Just to echo Minoru's great point, I think we should always remember we need political will to change the way forests are managed. So we always, despite all the exciting innovations in forest monitoring, we always have to think how that is going to have impact on the ground in terms of changing forest policy, forest management, and ultimately changing that political will in the decision-making apparatus of forest countries. So that would be my final compliment to this very nice panel. Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you. We're going to move now to some questions from our audience. We have a question from Yuvaraj in Nepal, who's asked, how can technologies like AI, blockchain and IoT help us to manage forest data? Minoru, maybe you'd like to jump in on that one.
Maybe I think I'll leave it to the scientific community maybe to discuss.
Okay, Julian, would you like to answer that one on blockchain and AI?
Yeah, I think it's it's really exciting, but as it was said in the previous panel, we need to make sure that these innovations are accessible to everybody, because only then, once we have access to these innovations available to different stakeholders, then we can ensure transparency and trust in forest monitoring and forest management. So that would be my first response. I think it's very exciting, but we really need to make sure it's available to everybody. For FAO, that is of utmost importance.
Fantastic, thank you. Laura, is there anything you'd like to add there?
I think it will be really important to have like a standardized measurements that we think are important and matter to guide how we can use all these amazing tools, and then have the results or resources to then understand how we should better manage these forests. Because I feel like it's something that we're missing. We have like amazing technologies, but sometimes like we don't even know what we're measuring, and we don't even understand the outputs of these results.
Great point, thank you. Another question from the audience. This is from Rad in New York, who's asked, regarding data, how is security and protection expected? Laura, is there anything you'd like to?
This is one of the center point that we really have to address as international community. So moving into the, this year's General Assembly, as I mentioned, there's going to be the Summit of the Future to come. One of the central elements is about how we internationally govern the data system. So we'll be able to create the confidence, and we'll be able to have a security in place. At the same time, as colleagues mentioned already, making sure available data is accessible by everybody. So thank you for pointing out this central point, and the UN is really die-hard working on this issue, and we look forward to working with the community together.
Fantastic, thank you. And finally, another audience question, which is, what are some bright spots regarding forest data? Julian, would you like to answer that one?
I think there's a lot of bright spots. I mean, in the last 10 years, as I said, it's been quite a transformation in the capabilities of national governments to monitor their forests at a level and a resolution like never before. So for me, as a forest monitoring expert, this is very exciting. And now we need to make sure that it's available to everybody, and that is the real challenge. So Indigenous peoples, women, youth, local communities are able to use this technology to manage and look after their forests even better.
Thank you. Well, so much more to talk about, but we do have to leave it there. Thank you, Minoru, Julian, and Laura, for your insightful contributions to this crucial conversation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, as we've discussed in this webinar, it should be a high priority for all of us to protect forests for the solutions they offer for pollution, health, biodiversity loss, and climate change. Many thanks once again to our audience for answering our questions, and thanks to you, our audience, for your participation. I certainly learnt a lot listening to all of our speakers, and I hope you did too. If you're watching on Zoom, you'll see an exit survey pop up when you leave the meeting. Please do fill it out. We'd really appreciate your feedback, as it helps us plan for future events. UN DESA will continue its Global Policy Dialogue series in the coming months, including at the upcoming 4th International Conference on Small Island Developing States, happening in Antigua and Barbuda in May. Please bookmark un.org/DESA to find out about that. And if you're interested in learning more about the UN's work on forests, the annual Forum on Forests will take place from the 6th to the 10th of May. You'll find information on that also through un.org/DESA. Thank you once again for tuning in, and thanks to our colleagues at UN DESA and the Department of Global Communications. Have a wonderful rest of your night or day. From me here and the team in the SDG studio in New York, goodbye.